always things that happen along the way that give you good vibe, bad vibes, whatever it might be. And, this Thursday is always the Redemption Thursday show is always where I kind of feel like I unveil that. Like, okay, this is where I'm at right now on these things. First of all, did you enjoy your birthday dinner last night? You have a good night?
I did, thank you.
Good,
It's a quiet night in. Sometimes that is just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, almost always. It's that's usually the case.
Almost
true. Always, yeah. Quiet nights of not doing much is a good thing. I tried my damnedest, Tom, because I value football, and I value football season, and I value every game. I'm the guy that for years championed more bowls, not less bowls. I would always tell you there's no such thing as a bad bowl, more bowls. Another opportunity to gamble, another opportunity to watch a game. We're running out of games. The sand is through the hourglass, and you begin to see it, and you say, really need to take these in while I can. I don't want to get all, regretful.
Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite programming outside of our show and outside of March Madness that we had on the old station.
Setting up the bowl schedule?
I mean, no, just the ton of bowls that we aired. I mean, Director Matthew knows those clocks we had to schedule were ridiculous.
That was fun.
Because you'd lose like all your spots because it takes up, noon to midnight. But when you're going holiday shopping or checking in with somebody going to a holiday party.
You jump in and you're like, oh, the game's on.
It could be 2:00 on a Thursday and there's a bowl game. And it was just a very comforting feeling. That's why I love bowl season. Anytime you're out and about doing something for a 2-week period of time, there's always a bowl game to check on. And I appreciate that.
So last night, Tom, Jacksonville State was taking on FIU. And this is where I was going with that. I tuned in. First of all, that stadium, the Ricardo Silva Stadium there in Miami, Florida, the famed Ricardo Silva Stadium, is a piece of garbage. That field is asinine. It's impossible. It ruins it for your television. Like if you try to sit and watch it because the field, it's awful. It's just awful. Looks like they're playing on a slab of concrete that's wet. And so, I hate it. So I sat down last night. I'm like, you know what? I've got some action going tonight in the NBA. I had some totals that I was working with.
Yes,
games.
That's a big sport in your house.
Yeah, and so I was excited about that, and it lived up. We had like 4 or 5 one-point games, really good stuff there. I had a good time with it. Anyhow, but I wanted to watch. I told my son, I said, hey, listen, you monitor our NBA wagers, and I am going to watch this football game over here.
No.
And so he said,
sure. Clark?
No, that was Bryce. Bryce was going to watch the games anyhow, so now I've just incorporated him into my bets.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I said, all right, you monitor our wagers there. I got him League Pass a couple years ago. He watches every game. You want to know what the hell's going on in the league, ask Bryce. Give him a call.
Yeah, Bryce, if you can help me hit 60% in November, I'll renew League Pass for you next year.
So that's not the way I operate. I'm going to have it anyhow. But and I do my own research because my son doesn't really know what he's looking at this point. Come on, he's not a seasoned vet. But anyhow.
But he can tell if the Spurs are up by 6 or 4.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this football game. I'm like, all right, a little Conference USA action on a Balls McWednesday evening. I'm going to sit back and watch it. Couldn't do it. First quarter, Jacksonville State starts kicking FIU's ass in the first quarter, and I went, I'm done here. I can't watch this game.
Who are we kidding?
I was mad at myself. I tried to – my wife, bless her heart, she tried to watch it with me. She sat down. We had just got done with dinners. We were about to eat dinner. We just got done fixing dinner. She sat down. She's like, what are we watching? I go, well, Jeopardy just finished, and we're about to watch Jacksonville State versus FIU. And she's like, there's nothing else on that we could watch together? I'm like, I kind of want to watch a football game. She's like, all right, I'll watch the game with you. Cool. So we start watching, and I think I beat her to the punch because once they scored the second touchdown, I was like, she's like, right. Why don't we flip it around here? But it's mainly because I can't stand the aesthetic, the visual. I don't know who the hell they were consulting with when they laid down that track, but it's awful. It's awful.
$50 is what they said.
Man,
what does $50 get us?
It's not getting it done, man.
Not much ROI on Conference USA football on a Wednesday night. So here's $50.
Not getting it done. I thought it was garbage. Meanwhile, if you watched UTEP and Sam Houston last night, you got yourself a 37-34 barn burner, but I had fallen asleep. I missed it at the Elliott T. Bauer Stadium there in Huntsville, Texas. Could have tuned in and caught a classic.
Elliott T. T as he was known to his friends.
Yeah. Old Sam Houston didn't figure to make that a game. They were 0-7 coming into it, 0-5 in Conference USA, but there they were battling it out, and I missed what was a compelling matchup there at the end. They still lost. So now they're 0-8 in conference play. Tough times at Sam Houston. But back to where we're at. It's a sneaky good week again for gambling and for picks and for matchups, but also the week has given me a feel. And I don't like the feel. I don't like the feel. I feel like we're a little disjointed going into the game Saturday. And it's not because of the hilarious segment you and I did yesterday to start hour 2. It's because I think, well, first of all, that place gives me the heebie-jeebies. The other part of that is they're really well coached. So they're always prepared, even if they're not good. They are prepared. Like, the funny thing to me, watching Syracuse that week coming in, was, again, listening to Dino Babers. He had conceded the game. He sounded ridiculous.
And he coached that way.
Yes. And so I thought, well, man, you have no interest in being here this weekend. You have no interest in competing. You don't think you guys have any shot in hell. You're letting everybody in the world know that. Your players certainly can hear it or pick up on it in the locker room. I thought he did a disservice. They wouldn't have won, but he did a disservice to his team with that mentality. Clawson's never going to do that. There's a right way and a wrong way to praise people. We'll hear some audio later from Clawson, but it's just interesting to me. Like their game, they want to play. They want to win the game. They're going to fight. They're going to play hard. That's what they're going to do. And then to their credit, that's what Wake always does under Clawson. They do play hard and they are well prepared. They don't always have the horses to get the job done, but they're going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're going to be, fairly buttoned up. Pretty disciplined, let's put it that way. So if you make some mistakes and you do something stupid or you overlook them in some way or you're not playing great with the requisite intensity necessary, then you can find yourself in a ball game. And I just get this uneasy feeling we're going to find ourselves in a bit of a ball game, not lose the game. I'm not here to telling you on a Thursday that we're going to lose, but I am telling you that I think, we're beat up enough. I'll just leave it at that. We're beat up enough physically where guys at various positions have been nursing things off and on. We know that from the practice reports, okay, guys? That's not a mystery. You get a report of guys in a boot. You get a report of another guy's not out there. And then you get another report that a guy, was held out of practice today. Then and it just kind of adds up to a disjointed feel about the game, really more than anything else. That's what it does. Now, Florida State might absolutely be talented enough to go in and boat race that Wake Forest team regardless. They could. And I will concede that is very possible. And, this would be, unwarranted concern. But I just feel like it's going to look ugly. Like, I think we're going to win the game, and I think we'll even win the game fairly comfortably. But I think it's going to kind of look ugly. And Lord knows that wouldn't be surprising for us on the road, but it also wouldn't be surprising given the opponent and the location.
Yeah, I'd say working backwards, looking at Wake's schedule and the games that they've played. So you've got Pitt last week where they won miraculously.
Had no business winning the game.
Correct. That game should have probably come down to a field goal either way. But, given that Pitt had the ball with under a minute to go, the ball game's over.
Ball game is over.
It's a terrible call on the slide. He doesn't even start until after the first down line to game.
By the way, and you saw Narduzzi this week, the poor bastard. He is.
No, Mike Norvell's comments is it's a tough way to lose a ball game.
Well, it's a tough call. They really jobbed
It's the wrong call.
It's the wrong call. Last week was a bad week for calls for officials. I don't know if you saw the Houston-Texas game, but they screwed Houston bad in that game. There's some things there.
The week before, the score reads that Virginia Tech just blows Wake Forest out of the water. They did not. That game was in touch late into the second half.
7-point game late in the third.
Because their defense plays hard. Wake's defense plays hard. So I'm thinking
the best aspect of their team, if people are out there wondering.
I'm working backwards and I'm saying, okay, this defense could cause some problems. But then you watch the Clemson game, and you might say, wow, Wake must have been very, very impressive that day. They weren't.
They weren't that impressive, no.
They weren't. So it's 17, whatever it was. It's a one-score game late, and it is the check. It's funny. I did not watch that game start to finish until this morning, and that is after we did the segment yesterday. And it checked all of the boxes from the doomsday game that annoys you scenario.
Oh, yeah, all the weird scenarios, yeah.
You've got 2 roughing the passer calls that are ridiculous.
Well, that's every week in college and pro football, by the way.
You've got a holding call
That's my
ridiculous.
cause du jour, by the way. I'm done with this nonsense. We got to stop treating quarterbacks as if they're not part of the game of football.
So Clemson is the victim of 2 horrible calls that are going to get them off the field. So it's a first down, extended drives, a holding call on offense that is a phantom call.
For those that don't know, they won 17-12.
17-12. There it is. They went for 2. They couldn't get it down the stretch. 17-12 is the final. Clemson muffs a punt. Klubnik was awful in this game. That was a culture loss that they won. If you watch the circumstances of the game and the different times that they fail, that to me is actually more damning than the Miami result in saying that there's dysfunction within Clemson. But it wasn't because the trenches were dominated by Wake Forest defense against Clemson's offense. No, Clemson pass pro'd really well. They were able to run some things that both Pitt and Virginia Tech couldn't because they're a better football team. So if you watch just the Clemson game and the balance of it, you feel pretty good about what we can go up there and do on Saturday. But if you only watch Wake Forest play bad competition, you get a little bit worried.
All right.
So the question is, how seriously do we take the noon kick and the task in front of us?
Yeah, that's the part. And I hope that they're mature enough to handle the responsibility of going up there, providing your own focus, your own energy, your own motivation to dominate a game and get your starters out and to get needed rest and reps for others.
We're going to get our starters out in drive 3.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I'd like to get a place pretty early on where if you want to make a decision that ultimately you want to sit somebody for a prolonged period of time, that you can do that. Again, recapping who Wake Forest is, their wins. Yes, you know about the Pitt win, which is go back as improbable as you'll see at the end of the game. It doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't have won the game. They were in the game. Tom's right to point that out, but they should not have won the game. They do win the game 21-17. All right. They lost to Virginia Tech 30-13. They lost to Clemson, an aforementioned game we just described that was weird, 17-12.
Yeah, Virginia Tech was a closer game than the score would indicate, and Clemson beat Wake up pretty badly more than the score would indicate. It's backwards.
Now, pretty damning is this one, the one in which they lost badly to Georgia Tech, 30-16. That's not a good look. That's not a good look. And so is this. This is also a problem. I mean, they skirted by and barely beat Old Dominion 27-24. They did handle Vanderbilt. Most people do. And they handled Elon in their opener. But you haven't seen a game where you think, okay, Wake's a real threat, other than to say that they are well coached and they have some talent on the defensive side of the ball. Tom just wrote an article about this very thing, warchant.com.
Not up yet.
Well, it will be on warchant.com. And I would invite you to read it. They do have a couple players at safety that I really like.
Mustafa is the team captain, number
Correct.
3.
And number 91, defensive tackle, he is
really
good player.
Missed a ton of tackles the weeks prior to Pitt, and then he was the best player on the field, I thought, last week against Pitt.
Yeah, so they've got a couple of dudes that can bother you. They've got aggressive corners. I will give them credit for that.
Linebackers tackle exceptionally well, 24 specifically.
It's a classic, fundamentally sound defense and football team. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're going to be physical. They're going to wrap up. They're going to make you beat them. And you can beat them, but you're going to be made to do so.
And there are things that are going to be wide open. You just got to be man enough to hit them. And if I could have done a cut up on Klubnik missing wide open dudes that he saw and threw to, he just missed.
Yeah.
And you're talking about probably 4 or 5 explosive plays that are left out there on the field.
Well, this begins a tough stretch for Wake, and this is where you'll see that this is probably tough sledding to make a bowl here for this team now, because you have Florida State, then they're at Duke. That's a tough game for them.
Tough matchup.
Yeah, it's not a good matchup for them. If you want to bet the under while you still can, Saturday, November the 11th, they take on NC State, over under 10. Seriously, let's pound the under while you still got a chance. Then you're at Notre Dame. That's a lot. There's a lot of problems that lay in wait starting this Saturday, one would think, against Florida State. So let's see if this begins the downward slide. They do end the year on the road against Syracuse. I'd call that a 50-50 game. But yeah, this is a stretch where they're going to get beat up a little bit. One thing I do like is that you're catching Wake off the Pitt game. And here's what I mean by that. We're coming off a very physical game against Duke. Very physical. No matter what you think of how that played out, Florida State covering and getting to 38 and all that good stuff, It was very physical the whole time. And I kind of knew it would be because that's how Duke plays. If you're a defensive-minded team with a defensive-minded head coach, you've got to be physical. And typically it translates to your offense as well, in which you want to maul people and you want to run the football. They got big backs, so that's what they did. It's a very physical game. Well, Pitt is very physical. They're not very talented right now, but they are very physical. Any Narduzzi team will be. He's a defensive guy. He's a smart defensive guy. He coaches smart defenses who will come up and hit you. They do that. So these, at least they had to go through a very physical game just like we did going into it. So it's not like one has a distinct advantage. Like they're not coming off a game against Elon. They're coming off a game against Pitt. So I just feel like it's kind of be a weird sort of feeling out period early with no energy in that stadium per usual. And because we may have some guys out in this game, and I don't know how many, I'm not allowed to tell you either way, but we may have some dudes out here. So you may have some guys in rather unfamiliar positions or positions that they haven't had a lot of opportunities this year. And if that's the case, you could just be a step off. You could just be out of sync offensively. If you're out of sync offensively and they're pretty good on defense, you can see some empty possessions. Not worried about it because I don't think Wake is going to light you up offensively at all. In fact, the only area in which Wake has a chance to make this interesting is if their defense plays lights out, because their offense is not going to do a lot. Once again, I would predict this be a tough day at the office for an offense against Florida State's defense. But you just feel like you could see a disjointed contest, and the next thing you know, you're kind of like, this is annoying. This is kind of annoyingly close, where all of a sudden it's, scenario 17-7 in the third. You're like, all right, let's go ahead and pull away here.
Right.
Something silly happens.
You just know, not to relive yesterday's segment.
Right, yeah.
But you know that one touchdown ends the game.
Yeah, you're this close.
It's over.
Let's do it here.
Like,
let's knock it out here. Yeah.
When we pushed it to 31 this past Saturday, the game is over.
The
moment that Toafili is inside the 5 and nobody's in front of him, it's a nice little
like, that's your ball game. Exactly.
Thank you. They're not coming back from this.
No. And you knew it. And you knew their offense couldn't. And Wake will be, and that's the other part of this. You get yourself in a position to dominate and play downhill, and you get up a couple scores. I think Wake is in trouble, and it could be a blowout.
Yeah. Well, of the two guys that could start, the Santucci kid who played last week as the backup, that was his first career start. Mm-hmm. If they do get Mitch Griffiths back,
he's nothing to write home about.
He's not, but he at least runs their mesh thing,
mm-hmm.
and he's got the patience and all that stuff to do it. And I am going to look for, and we're doing the pregame show at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I do want to see, and I will research the name of the official from the Clemson game. Because if he's the head official on Saturday,
you get nervous about roughing calls?
Well, the thing is, this is, you already want the rules to be a little bit tamped down on when it comes to protection of the quarterback. But when you're allowed to ride a mesh point, basically up the center's wazoo, and you can still garner a roughing the passer call after being hit. I mean, come on now.
No. You're almost a runner in that situation.
Because that guy, sometimes the head official has nothing to do with it. The umpire is an idiot. He just has to be the one to relay the call to the people. He's the messenger. Right. That stinks. But then in the situation with roughing the passer, the head official with the white cap is your guy, one way or the other. So I'm just hoping it's not this dude. He looks like the guy from SVU, Law and Order SVU.
Regardless if it's Griffiths or Kern or Mariucci or Marucci or whatever, this is the output dating back to ACC play start. Georgia Tech was their first ACC game in September. 176, 137, 166, 151. I mean, that is not going to get it done in the passing game. I mean, if we're sitting around here averaging 150, 148, that's why the success rate is 92.
Yeah.
That's a very low success rate. There's only 131. You're 92nd. That's a toughie. So that we shouldn't be all that worried about the passing game is what I'm getting at, right? I shouldn't be all that worried about it. So by the way, that the high rushing for Wake in the last 3 games, that'll hurt your feelings as well. 60, 35, and 90. Okay. That's, again, struggling a little bit on offense. So Florida State should be able to handle things nicely via the defense. Redemption Thursday wagers. Let's get to them. We'll do it momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 1816-186.
Man, I just got a text from my wife. She wants me to cook dinner and then snuggle on the couch next to a roaring fire.
So what's the problem, Dave? You already got the new grill, and you're a great cook.
I got one major problem. We don't have a fireplace.
Man, that's an easy fix. Just call Hearth and Patio. They got a lot of fireplaces that can help you for your romantic evenings. Wood, gas, electric, and a ton of different sizes, man. Call Hearth and Patio today, 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio. Ignite that spark in your life.
Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services has been Tallahassee's preferred residential electrician for over 30 years. Hi, this is Rowdy Lawson, and we've earned our reputation because we care about our customers, about quality, and about providing great service. We stand by every job we do and consider it a privilege to work on a family project like a new house, a custom addition, or a green renovation. For all your residential or service projects, call the good guys, Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services, 562-4111.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. If anything, I feel more calm. I don't feel like I have to run around looking for company, and my people can leave me alone with the couch cushions.
Hey, I can stop anytime I want.
Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. Tally Spay. For more information and to schedule a same-day surgery and pickup, go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
What are the odds?
Behind the scenes. I just now thought about what you told me and then what I told you in return. And you're like, oh, this gets better by the second. And it was an innocent thing.
Yeah. Yep. Sure was.
That's
what you get for trying to be a good guy.
You know the dog in that meme where the video, the little clip, like it's Vietnam, he's got the flashback eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, see him driving home. At the red light. Oh, my goodness gracious. Sorry, guys.
He'll comport himself. He's a pro. Don't you worry.
Oh, let's do some Redemption Thursday wagers, everybody. Let's get to. Thanks to our friends at the Metro Deli. I don't see why not. Oh boy, I'll be interested to see which ones you hit the siren for, because I don't think there are that many today. I think there's maybe a couple that I can see.
Yeah, there's one maybe late in the going here.
Maryland minus 13.5 against Northwestern. I think generally speaking, if you bet against Northwestern every week, you're turning a profit. I think you could just, before they even come out with the lines on Sunday, you're like, I'm going to bet against Northwestern again this week, and I feel pretty good about that.
Less about the matchup, more about the system.
Just in shambles. Screw them. Maryland minus 13.5. Texas A&M over South Carolina. Now you got two very dysfunctional coaches, two very frustrated fan bases and frustrated coaches, two massive excuse makers who frequently reference their play calls as the perfect call that wasn't executed.
One with a broken spirit, another with a broken foot.
Right. Somebody today sent in to Coach Speak, and you guys will see it when it drops later tonight, a mashup that made the rounds on Twitter of every time Jimbo Fisher said they just need to execute. And there's 100 straight execution. It's just execution, a perfect play call, but it just wasn't executed, guys. Like, you've got to watch this thing. It is hilarious.
Did you guys play the whole
No, we
clip?
stopped at
Okay.
44. And it's fantastic. But there is one time where he goes, where it's almost like he's incredulous because of the question. And he goes, well, I mean, it was a perfect call. We just didn't execute. Doesn't matter what the call is, guys. Like, you guys always get it wrong. The call is fine. The call is perfect. We just didn't execute it. You're like, Jesus, man. It's the best. You want one of those reporters to go, well, why not? Why didn't you? You've been here for 8 effing years. When the hell are you going to execute something? Or 6 or whatever it is. So they'll execute this weekend against a broken South Carolina team. And I'll lay the 14.5.
Boy, plus the hook.
How about that? All in on A&M to win this weekend. You better execute, Jimbo. And we also took the under Texas A&M, South Carolina, 53.5.
He's the first quarterback I've ever had that cannot throw smash. Damn it, McGuire could throw smash.
Under 53.5 for that battle as well. Notre Dame minus 20.5 against Pitt. I thought Narduzzi sounded, and given their injury problems as well, kind of broken. Did you hear him complaining about officials this week?
No, but I know that he could have. He had the right to.
Oh, he was livid. He said, sometimes you just feel put upon. And he went on to say, I won't get into it with you guys. So you don't know what I hear back from the league each week when I submit video of the mistakes that we see in games. But he's in essence referencing, I'm tired of the answers. The answers seem to signify that he's right a lot of times. Like, oh yeah, we missed that one. Well, my man, this is people. This is our livelihood here. This is like, we got to stop with that nonsense.
Okay, so I've got a theory that I can't prove, but I know that is true. In the last 15 years, no team in the ACC has benefited from officiating, blunders, missed calls, maliciousness, whatever you want to call
More
it.
than Wake.
More than Wake
Yeah.
Forest.
Go
It's
back a
not
couple years.
even close.
Go back a couple years when we were there. Everybody forgets this, and I will die on this hill. And you know where I'm going.
Yes, I think there's a meeting at night with torches and masks, and all these officials get together, and they bloodlet, worshiping Wake Forest. I think that's what goes on.
Well, look, you go back a couple years in a game we got blown out in. And so because we got blown out, and because there was a ludicrous call for a quarterback with one working foot to try to sneak it in, people forget that game was turned on its head by 2 calls back-to-back early that absolutely screwed Florida State. And I'm not the guy that complains about this. I don't. In fact, I sometimes admonish our fans for doing so. Just let it go. Everybody gets screwed by calls, fight through it, move on. That's typically the way I look at things, unless it's just so egregious that you can't ignore it. But that was the roughing call, and then the one on the sideline.
Yeah, the
so
late
you had the
hit.
punt situation and the late hit on the sideline. Those two calls kept drives alive that ended up in scores and changed the very nature of the game. Quite literally, what you could and couldn't call changed in those moments, and neither of them were even close to being right. And the one guy on the sideline call comes from like out of the stands to throw his flag.
Yep.
He's nowhere near the play, and he calls it just because they jumped up and down like a bunch of bitches, just jumping up and down like children. And there was nothing that happened on that play that was illegal. I'm still angry about it. It was nonsense.
And I would tell you that there are 3 calls that changed the outcome of the game against Clemson. All of them went against Clemson. Clemson still won the football game. But you're talking about impactful moments of nonsense.
Yes.
I believe it was Wake Forest we were playing when they just outright moved the football.
They moved the football. And then we asked Doug Rhodes, rest in peace, about that very situation. And he's like, oh, well, that was a technique issue.
Yeah. He says
it's not a technique issue when you move the ball forward or backwards.
It didn't matter. There were 11 yards to gain on the play.
Oh.
Okay, Doug. I see you. So it might have been wrong, but it really didn't change the nature of anything. I see.
Yeah,
okay. So you're a results guy. I got you.
No, when you get caught on film, that made the rounds. It was caught on film. The guy moving the damn ball.
Yeah.
Now, I might agree with Doug that it was a technique issue more than it was malice. Like, I don't think that guy's like, screw
Yeah,
Florida
but
State,
Doug's
I'm
allowed to
gonna
say, well,
move
that
the
was
ball.
ridiculous.
He can say that's ridiculous. That can never happen. I can't believe what we're looking at here. That guy was fired. Yeah, no, it's been a tough. I mean this now across the board. No one angle of a gripe here. The NFL and college, they have got to figure this out. And the game is extremely difficult to officiate.
I think if you did a breakdown of JCS segments across the year, we'd have Florida State being the biggest piece of the pie, and then it's officiating, which I hate. I hate officiating.
You know
segments.
me too. I don't.
But we talk about them every week because we have to talk about.
Well,
them
it comes up every
because
week.
we have to.
But I don't spend a lot of time on it. I move forward. I'm just noting that where a lot of this that we talk about now started in our effort to get our arms around safety protocol. And whenever you push back on a way a game is played, any game, okay, you introduce a new idea. Okay, you say, we've got to get this element out of our sport, whatever it is, where you say, okay, in this case, hitting defenseless receivers, kill shots with the crown of the helmet, the 3 steps and slamming quarterbacks to the ground after they release the ball. This is all stuff that we agreed with. Like, most of us were like, yeah, it's not ideal to play football, to have the quarterback subject to the kind of hits we saw in the 80s. Not a good idea. I mean, there's
who are we kidding? Us in the 90s.
Yeah. Right.
90s.
To the echo of the whistle. Right. There's video footage of guys taking 1, 2, 3.5, 4 steps, launching under the chin. That kind of stuff we wanted out of the game. Romanowski hits, right, where the guy is trying to break jaws for the sake of breaking jaws. It's not a football play. So you could agree on that and think it needs to be legislated out of the game, and that you got to institute some stricter policies on this, and that it has to be more penal. It's not just a 15-yard penalty, but we're going to toss you, whatever you want to do, right? But somewhere along the way, invariably, you end up crossing a line and going overboard, and they never are quick to come back to the middle. They're never quick to come back and go, okay, well, look.
It's like getting rid of a toll booth.
Well,
that's never going to get rid of a toll booth.
Never going to get rid of a toll booth.
That's what officiating is like, as you add in wrinkles.
But what I don't like is that, okay, somewhere along the way, you do have to, once you confront the violence within the game and say, all right, look, this is never going to be patty cake. This is always going to be a violent sport. You can do whatever you want in hockey to try to make it a little less violent. It's always going to be a collision sport, a violent collision sport. By definition, it's the old NASCAR example. If you're going 170 miles per hour on a racetrack, I don't care how much safety precautions you put into play. Some people are still going to die when their car gets out of control and they go flipping into a wall. It's just going to happen. You're just dead. But now that we're all on the same page and we understand that, and we've done whatever we can with the Hans device or anything else, I got it. We're doing the best we can. They've done that in football. But you've gotten to where you cannot hit a quarterback without there being real fear of that being a roughing call. Every time a quarterback gets hit, tell me that whole stadium isn't going, like, I can't even celebrate a great moment in the game anymore. If it's late in the game and then you put pressure on a quarterback, all right, and it's a, bang, bang play, throws it incomplete, but the camera moves away. So let's say they're on the road, we're watching it that way, and the camera moves away after he's released it, and you see that the ball's been effective and it's going to land harmlessly, and you're going to get the ball back and win the game. You don't even celebrate. You don't even celebrate because you got to wait and see, did they throw a flag? Because most surely they did, since we did hit the quarterback. That's every game. That's the NFL. That's college. And what I don't like is that they come back on the Monday and admit that they effed it up. Well, who cares? It's too late. You've admitted that they screwed it up. But wouldn't you think as a league or as a sport that you would say, it is kind of weird that every week we have to issue, I don't know, upwards of 30 or 40 apologies for the the poorly implemented rule that we beg them to call ad nauseum at one point now that's gone too far. I don't know. I worry about it every week. Sorry, I didn't get through the rest of my picks. What are you looking at?
I was trying to pull up the clip of the first roughing the passer from Wake and Clemson. I'll find it and I'll show it. It's a doozy.
Well, when they started implementing, you can't land on them. We were in trouble.
No, but this is a graze, and you're hitting him as he throws.
Right.
I mean, this is invented. It's out of thin air.
Well, there was an invented roughing the passer penalty on Josh Allen recently. There've been 2 or 3 where you're like, what in the world? Yeah, when they started incorporating, well, you can't land on them. We're playing football, dude. What in the world are you talking about? I can't land on them. You want me to wrap them? I'm not allowed necessarily to explode through. I got to wrap them. So now I've got him wrapped, and I've got to let go as I fall so I can land on my shoulder and not him?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Break my hand. Yeah, they the second one of Clemson was that. He lands on him, but in wrapping him up, he's hitting him as he throws.
Right.
It's not even a tick. It's as he throws. The ball is affected by the hit.
It's fluttered.
And they bump into, I think, an offensive lineman, and that's what causes them to fall.
And he lands on
him. And so therefore.
Yeah, man, get out of here with that nonsense. All right, pull those picks back up. Let me finish these up. Sorry, got sidetracked by the nonsense that we watch in football all the time these days. I took Notre Dame, laid the 20.5. I think Pitt's broken in big trouble. Oregon minus 6.5 against Utah. Do you know how much it hurt my heart to make this pick? Damn it, man. How about me betting against Utah?
No, that's a good spot. You got good value here.
I got great value here, and I did it, but I hate doing it. Whittingham's like 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you, Cameron. That guy just doesn't lose these games.
Run down their throat. You don't realize that when we watched Oregon, Washington, it was number 12 versus number 16 in the country. These aren't 2 top 5 teams.
I think they are.
Top 10 teams.
Purdue money line against Nebraska. Nebraska is just injured beyond reason. They've got 3 offensive linemen out and some other players out. Give me Purdue on the money line plus 110. Louisiana Lafayette and South Alabama under 55 here. Not a good feel. I've had a good feel for South Alabama this year.
I feel all the way down to my plums.
Do not stop with the damn. I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. Don't do that anymore. Ohio State minus 14.5 against Wisconsin. UNC minus 11 against Georgia Tech. Washington State minus 6 against the Fighting Kenny Dillinghams. And that is a look at Redemption Thursday.
They do fight.
Yeah, they do. They fight hard. They don't win, but they fight. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A dog was rescued by Tallahassee Fire Department Monday afternoon after firefighters responded to an apartment fire in the 1600 block of Poland Road. Crews arrived and found heavy smoke and fire coming from a two-story multi-residential structure. Once firefighters made entry into the apartment, they discovered the fire had spread into the attic and connecting apartments. No occupants were found inside, but a dog was rescued by TFD. No injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is currently under investigation. One Tallahassee man, Stephen Avant, 32 years old, is facing several charges, including attempted murder, after allegedly stabbing a woman Monday. Deputies responded to a business in the 3800 block of North Monroe Street in reference to a domestic disturbance. Upon arrival, a woman was located suffering from multiple stab wounds. She was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Based on evidence and witness statements, Avant was arrested. This investigation remains active and ongoing. This is Rachel Anay with the Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 84. Winds out of the east 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 62. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. Highs level off around 84. Temperatures a bit above average Saturday and Sunday with highs for the mid-80s to the upper 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 80.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn.
And Dr. Shannon Lord.
We are the dynamic duo at Finn Chiropractic, where we seek to get to the cause of your problem.
Whether you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, or any joint stiffness,
we've developed the Phenomenal Health Exam with some high-tech ways to get to the cause.
Our Phenomenal Health Exam will give the answers you need.
Get in for the Phenomenal Health Evaluation.
Visit our website at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
Because your chiropractor loves you.
There's nothing you can do about it.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
I just bet on my own, but I do not want to keep you guys in the dark on player props. We're 10 of 11, 11 of 12, whatever we are on player props this year. Crazy. Best run I've been on with anything since jumping on that Harbaugh Ravens preseason run for a long time. And then Utah and Utah State. Been on some real runs with some teams lately.
Utah State.
UTSA and I became best friends one year.
Actually, Wake Forest has been pretty good to me over the years. You can get a lot of value on them. Even though ACC officials will bloodlet and worship them, Vegas does not. And a lot of times you can get value there. My all-timer is still NC State 2014. I was on them 6 weeks in a row, won 5. And the 6th one, I think there was an injury, so that was
It's a good run, man. It's a good run when you find like a key, the thing that unlocks it for you, where you're like, oh, I get this team. I know what they are. Okay.
Because it was big. It was a high unit confidence plays every single week. So that was, there are times you're on a better run like Alabama first half. And
that was a good one for a long time.
And they were 10-2 that year, I think, 11-1 that year.
Yeah. And they just stomped first half.
I just couldn't bring myself to play it at the level that I played NC State in 14. So it was always incremental gains.
It was four or 5 game stretch where I just bet a lot of money on Alabama first half, where I'm like, nope, They can't find a number high enough. Alabama's out for blood to start these games because he wanted to rest everybody. So they would get up 35-0 midway through the second. You're like, oop, there's another cover. Yeah, that was beautiful. Let's hope maybe we're out for blood tomorrow. Who knows? On Saturday, I should say. Feels like it should be Friday. It feels like it should be Friday to me. I think it's because I've been stuffed up for 2 weeks.
It's also Wake Week. There's not as much energy for Wake Week, no matter what you do, no matter the fact that they've beaten us way too consistently, and we should be fired up for Wake Week. It just doesn't carry the energy because you feel nothing from the north. You feel nothing up there because there is nothing up there. Zero.
Yeah, the slate of games, by the way, if we're just looking at, why I said it was sneaky, there's some teams that have to take care of business and be careful. So we're one of them against Wake Forest. But Oklahoma plays Kansas. Look, I think Oklahoma's going to beat Kansas, especially with Daniels out. But
again.
But, yeah, and I think he may be out the rest of the year, by the way. That's looking more and more.
That's less a back injury than more I'm going to back out of this program injury.
Well, I've got a back problem, and I'd like to go play in the pros, and I'm not going to put it at risk kind of decision. Georgia, Florida, could that get sneaky?
The 3:30 window's the winner.
Without Brock Bowers, it could. Oregon, Utah, same thing. I suppose, Duke Louisville is a really good example of this. I think it's a terrible spot for Duke. Just a terrible spot. They poured everything they had into that game against us. And you can argue, regardless of how it arrived at this place, Duke had the lead in the fourth quarter. They ended up getting blown out, but that takes a lot out of you. And you can argue, and this could really backfire on Elko. Remember, the decision a week ago before Florida State Duke was, do you play the kid? Do you play Riley Leonard? Because just because he could get out there doesn't mean he should if he's not even close to 100%, for fear that you re-aggravate the injury and you prolong the period of time that he can't be the effective weapon with his legs that he is. Instead, do you wear this one? Do you take this loss, as frustrating as it has to be as a competitor? And Elko is that. I don't want to go in there and just lay down. We could beat this team. I want to give it a go. All right, I hear you. That's your heart talking. But you don't have an ACC loss prior to that. So here's the deal, my man. You could still play in the championship game. Lose the battle, try to win the war. Rest them another week and make sure that you beat Louisville the following week on the road and put yourself in a position to legitimately make the ACC championship, where you'll likely see Florida State again. But he didn't do that. And now that injury was re-aggravated. All accounts are that he's going to try to give it a go, but it's the same type situation. He's got straight ahead movement, but not lateral movement.
Yeah, and you just wrecked your chances of, a full strength kid for that game and potentially North Carolina in the not too distant future.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one to take a look at there. There's not much else. I mean, I don't think Ohio State's going to have problems in the night game against Wisconsin. I guess on paper, Tennessee and Kentucky's kind of interesting, but neither team is a factor. They're both 5-2. Not a lot. Not a lot. If you're staying up late and you've got yourself a porter, Tom, there is an interesting game because Fish is doing a good job. Oregon State, Arizona could be an interesting game. Arizona's now 4-3. They're playing very good defense. They've given a lot of people scares. They're pretty consistent. That could be a good football game.
Yeah, it could be.
10:30 kickoff. That's not bad.
We'll see. I don't know. Might have a Sunday morning tea time, and this was a great weekend to have a first thing Sunday morning tea time.
Well, because the Bucks play tonight, they'll take their ass kicking, and you won't have to worry about missing anything with them, and you can just go chill out.
Even if I did watch, it's not full-hearted because you know what you're going to see, which is we need the other team to be bad. But Buffalo might oblige in this spot.
Well, Buffalo's played terribly for weeks. Basically, post blowing Miami out, they've looked awful. You can make the argument should have lost every one of those games. They got the 14-9 win or whatever that was over the Giants, but it was aided by some nonsense, and they've looked terrible. So who knows? Look, I do think that the Bucs defense, if you're going to circle one thing that might be fairly legit,
fun to watch.
Bucs defense is good.
Winfield is fun to watch. The linebackers have been a lot better this year. The Cansey kid, Elijah Cansey is a good player.
Well, there are advanced numbers on the Bucs that point to their defensive efficiency and how good they are. There's like 3 teams that have given up fewer touchdowns than Tampa Bay. I mean, the Bucs will lose because they're not good offensively and they're not good as a team, but they'll fight you on defense now. Yeah, who knows? If Buffalo's half-stepping offensively again tonight, maybe it happens. Maybe you're in the game. I doubt it. I'm not betting it, and I'd take Buffalo easily. And I think even poor mom, who hates doing it.
I would think so.
She's going to
yeah.
take Buffalo. I got to call her, though. I'm going to have to call her because I swept her last week, and part of that was I took Atlanta over Tampa Bay. And so I want to see if she's in her feelings or can she objectively look at this and be like, yeah, we're not going to beat Buffalo.
I would think that offense has done enough now to prove to you that you probably pick the other side.
You just don't know about mom, though. She is loyal. That game's at Buffalo, though. If it were in Tampa, I think she could get squirrely with the pick. But because it's at Highmark Stadium there in Orchard Park, Tom,
Highmark, huh?
Good old Highmark Stadium, buddy. Not the same as when we call out people's names that you've never heard of and don't know why they're related to the school in any way, unless they're like T. Boone Pickens. Old T. Boone ended up kicking the bucket, never got to see any of that investment.
When do you think he kicked the bucket?
Oh, man. I should know that. They gave like $1 billion to that program in that stadium 5 years ago.
That's relatively close. Yeah, a little over 4.
Okay.
2019.
So I was pretty close. Yeah.
Didn't see COVID. T-Boone, he didn't make it to COVID.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it through. T-Boone was he was up against it. But I remember that $1 billion investment. You're like, man, you got to try to get me a championship before I fade. The fade is on, T-Boone. They're not close. Hour number 2 forthcoming.
Friendly neighborhood bar and grill just got a whole lot closer to home. You can now order delicious Smitty's Tap House and Grill for delivery directly to your doorstep. Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com, click the order online button, and choose pickup or delivery. Enjoy Smitty's famous handmade pretzel with beer cheese, juicy pub burger, or even the amazing schnitzel sandwich, delivered fresh right to your doorstep. Support local and order online today for takeout or delivery at Smitty'sTapHouse.com, where everybody knows his name.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. And that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270146.
With tens of thousands of satisfied patients across America, it's no surprise QC Kinetics gets 5-star reviews.
I'm feeling on top of the world because of QC Kinetics.
I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
I can recommend them highly.
I would recommend QC to anybody. QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I couldn't believe it. I honestly was skeptical, but the pain went from a 10 to a 0.
Real people with real lasting relief from joint pain.
QC Kinetics Regenerative Medicine is regenerating me.
And I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
This non-surgical approach is definitely the future.
I tell as many people as possible. I am an ambassador. I love QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. No drugs, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Week 8 of the NFL season getting underway tonight as the Buccaneers are on the road to take on the Bills on the injury front for Tampa Bay. Quarterback Baker Mayfield and wide receiver Chris Godwin were not on the final injury report, so they are expected to be full participants in the game this evening. Defensive tackle Vita Vea with a groin issue is going to be a game-time decision, while left guard Matt Filer and safety Kayvon Merriweather have both been officially ruled out. The Bills at home are favored by 9, the over-under at 43. Coming up on Sunday, Jaguars favored by 2.5 against the Steelers. Dolphins favored by 9 against the Patriots.
For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been your action update on Tallahassee's Real Talk station, Real Talk 93.3.
It's Macy's Friends and Family with early deals on everything you need to get ready for the holidays, like an extra 30% off brands that rarely go on sale with your coupon or Macy's card. And take 15% off fragrance, skincare, makeup, and more great beauty gift ideas now at Macy's. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply. Find something so you at Macy's Friends and Family.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants to polos and khakis to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Live from Tallahassee, the Holy Mother of God Greek Orthodox Church presents the Greek Food Festival. Bring the entire family. Enjoy baklava and other Greek pastries. Enjoy a complete dinner. Free admission. Come for the food and leave with the culture this Friday and Saturday, 10 to 10.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
sport of basketball. Alley-oop was used to describe a play that was developed in the 1950s in football by San Francisco. They had a 6'3", crazy hops wide receiver named R.C. Owens that they would throw it up to. And that was the origination of alley-oop. And then later on, people used it to describe basketball players on oops. I didn't have any idea of that.
R.C. Owens.
R.C.
That's
Owens.
an easy name to remember.
Pogo stick of a guy. They said he had like a 44-inch vertical. He was only 6'3". He wasn't 6'6". He's 6'3", and he just could jump out of the gym. And they just said, he was telling his quarterback, just throw it up, man. They're not going to out-jump me. I'm going to get it. And apparently could and did, and to the point where they nicknamed, they started it with the alley-oop. Pretty cool.
That is cool.
Well, I came up because I was watching Wemby last night, and I've never seen a player like him. And the closest thing to Wemby that I guess I've ever seen, my son asked me for a comp. Like, Dad, growing up, did you ever see anybody that's like this guy? And I said, yeah, kind of. Ralph Sampson. I watched Ralph Sampson when I was a kid. He was part of the Twin Towers with Houston, most unfortunate nickname now. But anyhow, he was long, gangly, 7'4", and was a really good athlete and could jump and run and shoot, well, relatively. And he could put the ball on the ground, which you just didn't see 7'4" people be able to do. And I remember him at Virginia, and I remember him with Houston. But that's the closest thing I can think of. Somebody said Manute Bol. Manute Bol didn't have these skills. Wemby's got skills.
No, that's,
nobody's ever had these skills.
But that's what the proportions look like on the human being.
The gangly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Devin Vassell, who is now newly minted with his contract, is riding shotgun for one of the great experiments. Well, it's not an experiment. It's going to work as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But one of the breakthrough athletes in the sport's history.
Think about Devin Vassell. You kind of feel good for him. At the time, think about the roller coaster it's been for former Florida State guard Devin Vassell. Here's a guy that when he left and got drafted by San Antonio, we were like, oh, good for you, Devin. How great is that? You get to go with Pop, who develops players really well. You'll be in a very functional organization. No nonsense, no James Harden type nonsense going on in San Antonio. And then they fell off a freaking cliff and became the worst team in basketball for the entire time Devin Vassell's been there. They've been dreadfully bad.
To the point that Pop was going to leave until they won the lottery.
Yep.
Well, hang on a minute here.
Well, now think about that. So you're him. You're wearing that ass kicking every night, but you eventually, because you are tough and you play through it, and you play well. I mean, obviously, Vassell played well. And he played well enough to get paid. So he gets this huge contract, and his grand reward is, hey, man, you might be really good again. You've got a freak of nature that nobody knows what to do with. Can straight up pull up, shoot threes, can put the ball on the ground, spin moves between the legs, the whole deal. He's going to have to put on 150 pounds, but I mean, my God.
Well, it's not the early 90s or the late 80s. He's going to be protected.
Well, I just mean if you're trying to do anything with your size in the block, they're going to have to put some weight on him. I mean, he could be moved by you and me. I mean, that guy is.
The still photos of him dunking and him blocking don't make sense to the brain. They simply do not make sense to the brain. And somebody did an example of a comparison of the original Space Jam, which was big to people in my generation, even though I never really cared about the movie Space Jam one bit.
Yeah, no, me neither.
But the stretching of Michael Jordan and the dunk because he's got the superpowers.
Yeah.
When you put a photo
when you watch Wemby,
of Wemby from about, 10 feet away, and he's up in the air and he's dunking, it doesn't look all that dissimilar to a Stretch Armstrong type effect.
It's really cool to watch. And when you watch his highlight reel before he ever came over here, how many times he got blocks from behind after guys blow by, think they have a layup. He's standing out at the top of the key. It's one step and suck it.
He's just leaning a little bit.
Just like, no. And it works out for him because just like in the sport of soccer or football, if you like, it's positionless now. So you have a situation in the NBA where 6'7" bring the ball up the court is commonplace. 6'9", I mean, LeBron can bring the ball up the court. I mean, they got guys, and I remember when that all started to happen and become, really you can thank Magic Johnson for that, but it really became this whole thing where all of a sudden you didn't have to be a diminutive point guard relatively.
Well, he was one of a kind or one of very few, and now that's the norm.
It's crazy to
the
think
length
about.
on the perimeter. That's one thing that we did early as a basketball program, having tall guards, big guard I think that's what we called ourselves.
Yeah.
And it could be 6'4" to 6'6" across the board when we were defending the perimeter, switching 1 through 5 as we could. Can't do that anymore, though.
Good job, Noel Dad. Going to give you credit because you served it up on a tee here. More millions of dollars in Vassell's new contract or Zaxby's locations in Tallahassee.
There he is.
There he is. Hey. That is really well done. I checked this morning, Tom. How many do you think?
All right, well, Devin's number is 135. Devin Vassell, who was hardly recruited, $135 million.
Moves his feet, plays very good defense, and can put the ball in the basket. There you go.
And was somebody that first December that I remember texting somebody and saying, you're going to like 24.
Yeah. I know. You got that right. Vassell was solid.
After Florida State got it right, of course.
They did. It was a nice run there for a while. Ham called me this week, and I still have not gotten back to him. I feel bad about that.
You're going to get the disappointed voicemail or call. Jeff, why haven't you called me?
Well, I hope I don't get that call, but it's been a busy time, and then he had to go do media days, and so, we'll get there. We'll get there. He knows I love him. 63. 63 Zaxby's. That's so many Zaxby's.
But not nearly the amount of millions that Devin Vassell was just paid. 60. Didn't we have 120 some odd this week?
63 is
what happened?
We have 63 Zaxby's. That's enough to really.
Oh, you're right. It's always been 63. Forgive me.
It's all over the city, Tom. It's everywhere. I'm here, and there'll be more next week. We'll see. 63 this week, though, at Zaxby's. Hey, Zaxby's is delicious, and you should try their new chicken Philly. As I like to say, and this is a true endorsement, I thought it was going to suck, and I was wrong. It's delicious. It's delicious. Go try it for yourself.
Quality top to bottom. And again, for nooners, sneaky good to just get the platter for the day. That way, when the game's over, you don't have to say, man, I should have eaten more. What am I going to do? I should have eaten more during the game. I've had a couple.
Yeah.
Had a few.
Yeah.
Oh, you already have the platter. It's just waiting
It's
on
all right
you.
there.
You graze with the platter.
Yeah, the whole game. If you get nervous, you graze even more.
That's true.
Well, that's just like drinking. You drink a little bit heavier when you're nervous, too. Like, I think I'll have another one.
The dangerous thing for me, if I'm having a Friday evening to myself and I'm playing some games late at night, usually it's PGA 2K. And
I'm ready for the new one.
The worst thing
that's all we can do on that 2K.
It's about time.
Yeah.
It's about that time.
A little bit.
Is you have a pull after every shot. You got to get out of that mode.
Yeah.
If you have a little pull after every shot,
you're in trouble.
That's a problem.
So long ago, when I used to use chewing tobacco and snuff and the like, I wasn't always a saint, guys. You wouldn't believe it.
Before you were reformed.
But I dipped for 20 whatever years, right? And the problem with that sort of mindset, that logic, is what ends up happening is you create reasons. There's always a reason. Well, I just had a cup of coffee. I got to have a dip. I just woke up. I got to have a dip. I just got done eating. Got to have a dip. Got to play City League softball tonight. Going to have several dips. Just got on the road for a 5-hour drive. Got to have a dip. Keep me company while I'm listening to my music. Just got done with dinner. Got to have a dip. Got to mow the lawn. Looks like I got to have a dip while I mow the lawn. Why the hell wouldn't you? Got to clean the car. Wash the car. Got to have a dip while I wash the car. It's the grand reward for getting off my ass and washing the car. Having this big dip while I do it. There was always a reason. There was always a reason. So that speaks to your situation, right? That's what it is, right? Like hey, it's my Friday night. Yeah. I'm relaxed and enjoying myself. I work hard all week. I've got to do a post game tomorrow. I've got several things I got, but this is my Friday night. I'm going to have a pull after I hit this shot, and what a good shot it was. And the next thing you know, you've had 47 pulls.
Right, yeah. The wind is in 9 from the left. It's up 15 feet.
Yeah.
I think we got to go 2 clubs here.
Yeah.
Oh, I made the right judgment. Oh, very well. A little salute. Thank you very much. A little tap in bird.
Good shot if I don't say so myself.
We do have, I showed you it during the break at the top of the hour, we do have the video clip of the roughing the passer call against Clemson when Wake Forest went to town a few weeks back.
I'm going to answer this question, and then we will look at that because it's absurd and it's very problematic, and it's a crime. You're going to witness a crime. You're going to see this in the video. A crime occurred. Live Spectator asked, do I have any gums left? Oh, I've got beautiful gums, the best gums. Now, let me tell you something about the gums. They come back. They regenerate. It's amazing. It's like when you stop smoking,
Yeah.
It works out. Your lungs get strong as hell again. You can do it. But, it took a while. You know why I stopped dipping besides the fact that it was terrible for me and I had kids and my wife shamed me and I felt guilty about it? She was the best. She would never.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there. She would never yell at me. She would just leave the can on the pillow. It's the smoothest shame I've ever felt. It was awesome. Like I would hide cans because that's who I am. I would hide cans like out by the grill, and then I'd have a can somewhere in the bathroom, and I'd have a can somewhere. There was a can. If you need it, Tom, it's there. There's a can right there. And so she would find them occasionally. And then she'd be like, look at this son of a bitch. And she'd find him, and then she would just walk. And when I wasn't around, she'd just put it on my pillow in the bed that we share. So I'd walk in, and there it is. They're sitting on the pillow. I'm like, no words. Like, got it. Okay. Yeah. Caught my stash.
I guess I'll have a dip.
So she got me. But anyhow, the reason I stopped, and there's a lot of people out there that dip right now wondering how you do it. It's tough. It's tough. It's very tough. It's not easy. I'll tell you that now. But
the toughest.
Yeah, I will tell you this, though.
Many tough things.
I used to get these sores on my gums and on my tongue. And dippers know what this is. And you get these, and then this is how addicted you are. I'd be like, oh, I gotta slow down this week. I've got a giant sore on my tongue. Like that doesn't scream to you like, sir. No, just gotta slow it down this week. Flip it to the other side. I've been doing it too much on one side. We gotta flip it to the other side. That's what I would say to myself. And then if it still didn't go away or it developed a second bump, then you're like, okay, I'm getting a little nervous. And you wait like 3 days and you're like a crack addict, just shaking your, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, the bump is gone. I'm going to have the biggest dip you've ever seen.
I have never known you as a dipper.
No.
You were in the ginger replacement dip.
I had switched to the ginger. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that stuff, I got to give them credit. Smoky Mountain. Of course, it's called Smoky Mountain.
SmokyMountainGingerDip.com.
Let me tell you something. I should have been a rep for Smoky Mountain. I'd have been the best. Like, I know how good it feels to pop that dip in there, boys. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go a little Smoky Mountain for that ass today. Let's try to keep it cool. Boom. But she hated that too, but she knew it was healthy. But she's like, you still got dip cups over. This is ridiculous. You're a grown-up. Okay. Canker sores are gone. We're good. Healthy. Haven't had a dip in 15 years. That's a long time. That's amazing, actually.
You should celebrate with a dip.
I could now. I told you the time that I tried to give it a go because of Millar. So Matt Millar is a terrible influence. And we were playing golf together. And Millar's like, here, why don't you have a dip? Knowing that I had stopped dipping. I'm like, oh, I should have one, shouldn't I? Because, it's an addicted brain. And then I tried it for 30 seconds and I thought I was going to puke. I was like, I knew I was cured. That's how I knew. Okay, there we go. I hope that serves as motivation, inspiration, everybody. You said you were going to find this hit, and man.
Yeah, air quotes.
This is unbelievable. If you're watching, this makes for bad radio, but I'll explain it to you. If you're watching at home, we were talking about all the roughing the passer penalties that are out there in the game today, and we had a most egregious one that involved our next opponent, Wake Forest. And this is it, if you're watching on YouTube. So they called Clemson for roughing the passer on a play here. They're running the mesh. He holds. This guy hits his shoulder. The quarterback doesn't even look around. He's unaffected by this hit, completely unaffected. Knows it's not dirty, knows it's not an illegal hit. It's not even to the head. And they throw that flag, and there's a reason that the Wake quarterback doesn't even care because he knows there's nothing wrong with it. And yet they throw that flag. It would have been 3rd and long, and instead this is what we get.
Roughing the passer. So I'm telling you, I'm going to find that ref's name because he threw another one that was ridiculous in the second half, and it sounded like the fans were going to come out of the stands early because they can walk on the field after the game, but they might have done so early. If it's that same head official, I'm just saying
you're going to get nervous. You're going to get nervous.
Shenanigans for a noon kick.
Well, here's the thing that I'll tell you, though, about that. I think that the onus that they put on that call coming into this year, clearly, and in the NFL, I mean, that seems to be like a cross-league deal, really encourages these guys to look for it. They just look for it. They try to find it when it's not there instead of just calling it when it's obvious, which is, again, a mentality that we've talked about a lot that has been able to seep into the game and ruin it to a large extent. They are trying to find calls. They're searching for calls as opposed to witnessing something that warrants a call. They're looking for these things. And it drives me nuts. You've got to take the onus away from that. Let the guys play unless it is clear. Look.
Be like a state trooper on I-10 issuing citations for 71s.
Right. You could do it, I suppose.
You could.
Actually, the way it has to be 74, 75.
At 5, there really isn't. Yeah.
But yes.
But it would be like them pulling you over, going through the whole rigmarole.
Time and again, yes.
Yep.
It's weird because I remember in the past, Doug Rhodes, who we brought up earlier, said that a lot of times they would tell their guys, look, if it's a hold away from the play, don't call it.
Right,
but,
he did.
But I also remember thinking to myself, well, Doug, that doesn't work, man. Because backside guys are capable of chasing down players or not, depending on if they're being held. And you kind of got to call a hold if it's a hold.
Correct. Yes. So in the same symposium, he said in that instance, if it's away from the play, it doesn't have a material impact in the play, keep it in your pocket. And then for pass interference or something else, when in question, throw the flag. I'm not sure what I saw. I believe that means I'm in question.
Throw the
pass
flag.
Interference.
Absolutely.
Like what? What kind of?
They
and
seek
that's
it
the
out.
instruction you're getting from the top down in those days.
Yeah, it's beyond aggravating.
It's a miracle it wasn't worse than it was in that way.
You want to? Well, we're going to solve for the future in a little bit. I actually was going to say we could play this Clausen clip, but I'll wait till we come back from the break. It's better to set it up cleanly. We have a quote from Dave Clausen, and this is why, as much as I want to beat Wake Forest by 1,000, I got to give the guy credit. He's a really good football coach, and his team's always prepared, and he's a class act. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists, providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable, expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. All I know is my family is much happier now that I've been altered. My people even brought Mr. Jingles to Tally Spay.
Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. How you feeling, Mr. Jingles? Ugh, you're right, he is a lot nicer. Go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning and revolutionary online learning program that's changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by teachers and early childhood learning experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 7,000 learning activities and more than 650 lessons, it's the most comprehensive early learning site on earth.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse. It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
It's just endless what they can learn on ABC Mouse. I've always had to use 20 websites, and now I can just use one.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio, abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Solving the future. I will rapid fire these again since I didn't go back over them to start the hour. Maryland minus 13.5 against Northwestern. Texas A&M minus 14.5 against South Carolina. Same game, under 53.5. Notre Dame minus 20.5 against Pitt. Oregon minus 6.5 against Utah. Purdue money line against Nebraska. We're catching plus 10 there. I like them to win the game outright, obviously. Louisiana Lafayette, South Alabama under 55. Ohio State minus 14.5 against Wisconsin. I don't know how Wisconsin scores. Southern Cal minus 11 against, it
was a delayed reaction, but I heard you.
North Carolina. North Carolina minus 11 against Georgia Tech. And then finally, Washington State minus 6 against Arizona State. Low-scoring game there. There we go. Let's see here. What did I want to go with? Want to go with that sound first? And then we'll explain how that fits into solving for the future? All right, go ahead. This is Dave Clawson talking about Florida State, talking about Mike Norvell, talking about the battle's end, quite frankly. Here you go.
I don't know if anybody in the ACC has done a better job of embracing and maximizing what college football looks like in 2023. And I mean that as a nothing but a compliment to Mike, because there's places that probably have healthy collectives and money, but it's misspent. They've done a great job of retaining their best players, to get Jordan Travis to come back, to get Jared Verse to come back, to get Trey Benson to come back, to get Johnny Wilson to come back. Like, their best players are all back. And they lost some guys in the portal as well, but their ability to replace them, with a guy like a Keon Coleman or a Fentel Cypress, they've done a very, very good job of evaluating and picking players that fit them. And he really has. He's done an amazing job. And he's also very, very underrated as an offensive coach.
He is. And this perfectly explains how we would roll into solving the future with our friends at ISF. I'm going to go back and touch on what Dave Clawson had to say about Mike Norvell, Florida State, the collective there, and all that good stuff. I've given you countless examples of how it is ISF helps out nationally, by the way. We think about all that they've done with the Department of Economic Opportunity, Children and Families, Department of Health, Department of State, Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. They're innovators in process, Florida Department of Health with child care food programs. I've given you that example before. And you know what's cool? People are listening. We got news this week that one of the folks that listens to this show was intrigued by these studies and areas of growth through ISF's help, partnership, and state government. Obviously, innovation and processes and making things be more efficient and realizing dreams and getting funding for that us has to happen, all that kind of stuff. And they were intrigued enough to reach out to ISF. So that is always good. We like to hear that kind of success story when we collaborate with somebody. But now we get to this, okay? And let's get into what he's saying. What Dave Clawson's saying does solve for the future for Florida State big time, and it's because Mike Norvell has done such a great job of embracing that future, embracing what he knew to be something that was here to stay in college football, which is the use of the transfer portal, and attacked it because he knew it was the quickest way to raise the floor and improve the roster to a point where he could win at the level that most in this fan base demand you win at to be satisfied, right? Obviously, Florida State's hat's been in the middle of the ring for a long time about what they expect around here. And then it worked out well because the battle's end ended up winning the war of collectives and kind of coming in and recognizing areas where Florida State could have some success. And we have to be very careful how we say all this, because certainly there are rules in place that don't allow you to work directly with Florida State and not work, allegedly inducements aren't things that happen. I mean, we're all big kids around here. We understand how things work. What you have to have is a situation in which if a player decides on his own through recruitment by Mike Norvell and staff to commit, will he have opportunities in the game, the NIL game, that every school is involved in now? And the way you prove that is, obviously, you look at a collective like the Battle's In and what they've been able to do in the terms of roster retention. And Clawson talking about that, like getting a Keon Coleman to come here is one thing, but getting guys that were already here to come back is a really big deal, including your starting quarterback, who obviously, has had a lot of opportunities. We see the kinds of things that Jordan Travis is involved in. And you see it with Jared Verse, and you see it with other players, Trey Benson and the like. There have been any number of players, tons of them. It's, in fact, if you follow the Battles In on Twitter, you know that they announce it every time they come up with a deal or have an opportunity with another athlete. So this collective success pretty much guarantees that you're in a good spot. Now, you got to continue to work hard. You got to win games. You got to do well with the X's and O's. And I'm glad that he pointed it out at the end, because I've been singing his praises as an offensive mind for a long time. But that's the fun part about watching this, because you feel like you're organized, very organized. If I want to extend this out further, for a long time, it felt like one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing. This crosses coaching staffs and time periods. It also, in a weird way, certainly applied to the athletic department for a long time, because you had the disconnect between the role of the boosters and the way that it used to be done, and the athletic director and what power he did or did not have, and the president, et cetera. So they weren't all in line working together. And now you feel like between the head coach and his efforts in recruiting and winning football games, a very modern collective that does a great job in assessing value within the roster and also potential outside of it.
Yeah, market value, I think, is the biggest function at that point. Yes.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we now have an athletic director who has autonomy to make big decisions. All seem to be on the same page. And so you feel well prepared moving forward.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're excited about the future.
I think it's fair to say that for the first time, now we didn't have collectives as something, if you're a Florida State alum, a very interested observer as it pertains to the football program. Maybe you didn't go to Florida State, but you have grown up in Tallahassee and this is your team. So you want to support it in any way, shape, or form that you can. This is the most confidence I think that the fan can have across the board in all institutions when it comes to supporting Florida State. Because the boosters and the university are tied together in a way that they had not been until very, very recently, in which the athletic department itself can earmark the funds to go different places. So the athletic director is empowered, in short.
Yeah.
Two ways. One, because the boosters and the athletic department relationship has changed. And then two, because the president says, go ahead, athletic director. I hired you for a reason. I don't want to be the athletic director, and you're my puppet. That has been the case a lot of times here. For many years, the last 30, You've had university presidents who fancy themselves the AD. So now you have an athletic director who's empowered two ways, which means that booster dollars get used more efficiently. So you should have high confidence in that. And then what Dave Clawson, the open market, your own eyes are telling you when a guy like Keon Coleman shows up on campus, is that the line of communication between, unofficial as it is,
unofficial,
the football program and a collective is healthy. The evaluations are good. And then we are not bidding against ourselves when it comes to what the collective has to do. That's the worst thing that can happen is you bid against yourselves and you mismanage what a market value is, because then you have less to go around to other places.
And you've watched that happen in several places so far. Others have had to start over again to get it right. And you're seeing now people come around. There are a bevy of collectives that are starting to figure this out.
Well, they're starting to get
it's
together.
It's a serious place. It's not for the, hey, I just got a lot of money, I'm going to throw it at the problem. That's not how this works.
They're starting to get together so that everybody understands what the market is actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's better for everybody involved. It is the market forces regulating themselves. And that's what's happening on that side of the equation. But my point is, if you're saying I got $100 a month, where do I spend it? That's your call. But I think you have a bunch of good answers. And I think 5 to 10 years ago, I don't know that you had many good answers, if any.
That's how you ended up being in the part of the coaches group. The
coaches club.
Yeah, the coaches club. That's what you did.
Yep.
I mean, because you're like, well, I want to support this softball team. I want to support this soccer team. I'm just going to do that.
There's going to be a lot of money going elsewhere to these other programs.
Yeah.
I think my dollar would go farther if it goes to a program that could really use it, like it's really scrounging, because I know football is going to get taken care of. And frankly, the day job, I think we cover that side of it. We're marketing Florida State football an awful lot here at Warchant.
Yeah.
By a function of what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I was just going to make fun of people. No, you're absolutely right. And I think we're fortunate at this point to have witnessed. I mean, you're 7-0. Look around on that field and ask yourself in order of contribution how they arrived here and how they were retained. I mean, I think it's overly clear, overly abundant, the amount of players that you would cite that have directly benefited from the help of the battle.
Dude, this is like what you could argue with the Buccaneers Super Bowl in 2002. Some people want to point to John Gruden for putting him over the top. Some people want to point to
putting
Tony
together
Dungy.
A real offense on the field, yeah.
Right. Some people want Tony Dungy because he laid the foundation for it to be possible to put it over the top. Some people look at Rich McKay and they say, "Hey, man, that's the mastermind of
he did a
who
great
made
job.
the hires
Yeah.
and he made the trade for John and he fought, so all of these things." And it's a great argument to have in Tampa because you're arguing over a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're arguing about how it is you won at the highest level.
Right.
And the ultimate prize.
And I think
let's hope we're having that discussion again at the end of the year.
I think you can be doing that actively right now and saying, well, if it's not for Mike, none of this happens. True. But the collective goes a long way in ensuring what happened here this year. And then the infrastructure of the university, making sure that everybody knows what's going on from the top down, has put us in a healthy position where the head coach doesn't want to leave like the last couple. Well, two coaches ago.
Dave said some nice things there at the end. He went on to say some more nice things about Mike Norvell. I think one of the things that is true, it seems to be obvious, if you watch the end of games and handshakes or pregame and handshakes. Not everybody does that. I sometimes do it just to get a sense of a relationship or a lack thereof. I do it sometimes, too, to see moods, what the facial expressions are telling you and all of that. But one thing really consistently stands out is that even against chief rivals, I think Mike is pretty well respected and liked. And I don't need him to be. It's not necessary for us to succeed. There are plenty of coaches that aren't necessarily beloved, but are very successful, and they're beloved by their fan base because of it. But the opposing coaches don't think much of him, for example. But I think Mike across the board is well respected, and partly because he's been a straight shooter. He has kind of walked it, certainly like he's talked it, since he's arrived here. And I think that he's a coach's coach in that sense. Like, he's not allergic to work, not allergic to really hard work and building that up the right way. And it's not my job to be a spokesman for Mike, and I'm not a PR outlet for Mike. I'd tell you if I didn't believe that. I do that every day. If I tell you there's an aspect about the team that I don't like, I'll say it. And we'll balance that with the things that we do like. Has Mike made mistakes since he's been here? Yeah, there have been mistakes. But if I'm assessing Mike, the coach so far, he gets an A. He gets an A. He had to withstand a nightmarish start, much of which were brought on by circumstances that had nothing to do with him. It never really wavered, even after making some mistakes. There were missteps that led to god-awful defeats in moments where you began to wonder, are you mature enough to handle this? Are you old enough to kind of have a big perspective look at what has to be done here? When you lose to Jacksonville State at home because you're playing games with quarterbacks and doing silly things and not taking the game serious, that's immature. That's the kind of thing that young coaches get burned by and hopefully learn from, right? So, no, has he been perfect? He hasn't. But has he been really good and wildly consistent and always, I think, more than anything else, consistent on a day-to-day basis? Yes, he has been. He has been. And that's why I think he gets a lot of praises thrown his direction, is that coaches see that in other coaches. They see the guys that are doing things the right way.
People, this is, if you want to talk about the chicken or the egg, people aren't interested in investing in this program with any institution, booster, collective, or otherwise, if it's not for what he's been able to pull off in the last 25 games or so. I mean, it's not that long ago.
And he's got more big decisions to make coming up at the end of this year. He's got some big decisions to make.
And there's still some bridging to do with the roster that's going to be in 2 years or 3 years and the one that we're going to have next season. There's still some bridging to be done, and everybody needs to get involved in that. But we're not that far away from a time in which he was wearing a plexiglass face shield on the sidelines because of the pandemic. And in the same way, there was a shield between him and high school coaches in this state. In the most critical time to form those bonds, he could not do it. And yet we're still here.
ISF helps state governments solve the future through strategy, process, and technology. They believe the order of those three things are very, very important. Your strategy sets the bar for long-term focus and priorities. Those priorities determine the processes needed to accomplish each step along the way. And they do it nationally. They've worked in 18 different states for state and local agencies serving millions of citizens across the country. And they're right here in Tallahassee, ISF.com. Jeff Cameron Show continues in a moment. 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A jury has been seated in the trial of Charlie Adelson. Wednesday afternoon, the final round of jury selection wrapped up. The defense and prosecution agreed on a jury after 2 rounds of group questioning. 6 people were dismissed for cause, meaning they did not understand legal theories, explained, or had a bias. Both the defense and prosecution used all of their 10 strikes when dismissing jurors. Opening statements will start today. Thomasville's American Legion Post 519 is at risk of losing their liquor license. This comes after Thomasville's police department took surrounding neighbor complaints to City Hall in efforts to suspend or revoke the Legion's liquor license. The Veteran Post has hired security, implemented wristbands, and installed a chain fence to avoid people from entering the property. And the Legion's commander said anything negative that happens in the area is tied back to the Legion, despite them not being involved. City Council says they will continue to gather information and will make the final decision at a later date. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a high of 84. East winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 62. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times tomorrow. Highs level off around 84. Temperatures a bit above average Saturday and Sunday with highs for the mid-80s to the upper 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 82.
Let's take a minute to imagine all the things you can accomplish with help from Southeast Portable Buildings. Are you a hoarder? Hoard some more. Get a storage shed. Mother-in-law moving in with you? Put her in a shed out back. I'm kidding. Still working on that engine that you're going to finish from last summer? Move it out to a new workspace with Southeast Portable Buildings. From she sheds and man caves to repair shops and trophy rooms, the possibilities are only limited to your imagination. Visit Southeast Portable Buildings today.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the pan con lechon. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
At some point, some hockey wagers, buddy.
We do. It's a weird season. So as of 2 nights ago.
Overs and overs and overs.
But as of 2 nights ago, I think out of the 32 teams in the league, maybe 17 or 18 of them had 6 points. Like it's just a bunch of middling. Nobody's running away with it early in the season, and nobody's really out of reach. 6 points for so many teams before play on Tuesday night.
With the lone exception being, much to the chagrin of every fan in the area, Boston is undefeated.
Yeah.
A lot of good that's going to do you guys. You just set the record across the board. Every meaningful points record ever set.
They've lost
to get
so much.
Swept.
They've lost so much year over year. That's not going to hold.
No, but they will defend, and they always do. And they've only given up 7 goals in 6 games. And I can make money off of that, Tom. And I was reading that this morning and went, don't mind if I do, because that's consistently true.
Everybody in the world talking about how they have the best goaltender. Well, he only plays, 45, 50 games. The backup plays 30. And they go play the Panthers last year, and they get smoked.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why you don't want to set every record under the sun. When we did the President's Cup, we did the same thing. Don't go out there and lead the Panthers before that. We've seen it. Like, don't do that. It doesn't do you any good, apparently. You can lead the league in points, so you're going to get your ass kicked in the playoffs. That's all there is to it. It is the most bizarre thing. I sometimes wonder if that has to do with clinching early as opposed to anything else,
clinching.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Clinching early. And having your place sewn up, you got it, home ice, all that stuff. And then you're like, oh, we're just going through the motions. The next thing you know, it's on. Another team had to fight like hell because you're going to be the one. You're going to be the one. Another team had to fight like hell to get in.
Yeah, and that translates a little bit more in hockey than it does in, say, baseball.
Well, in baseball doesn't matter. You got a 5 and a 6, yes.
Yeah, it's all random.
Yeah.
But in hockey, if you've been playing playoff-style hockey since the middle of March, and another team has been basically mailing it in and still winning with bad habits since February.
Right.
Yeah, you can get caught.
So if, the sorry-ass Pittsburgh Penguins once again are sub 500 early on, and they struggle and have to fight.
That's really an odd snipe.
I did it for Tim. I just thought I'd tease Tim Linnefeld, especially since they were awful last year. But yeah, if you're in dead ass last as they are, and you see, I did that to double down because you draw attention to it. But but you are fighting to the last week of the season to get in, and then somebody else, say the Rangers, who are cruising.
Yeah.
It could be a problem. So you never know. And I think that's 4 years in a row of evidence towards that end.
The President's Cup has always been a curse since I've been watching.
But I'm saying specifically 4 straight years or something akin to, or 4 of 5, you've seen that exact thing happen where it's not just like, oh, you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
You may get swept in the first round.
Yeah. President's Cup winners in the last 30 years are a handful or less. I feel like Detroit might have done it in the 90s when they were loaded before the cap was a thing.
They just kept winning.
There's no salary cap. That matters. Yeah.
Well, that's like you go all the way back to the NFL before the salary cap, and you can watch the 49ers and the Cowboys just beat the hell out of everybody and go get better in the offseason and just spend more.
That was Colorado, Detroit in the West. Yeah.
That is it's brutal.
The last team to win before the salary cap was gone was Tampa Bay, 2004.
Yeah.
That's why we had the cup for 2 years, because there wasn't a season the next year.
About to say.
They really wanted that cap.
Well, we've entered into that good time, though. Again, we already had it, but now the NBA is back. College basketball is about to start up now again. That's going to be tepid waters for me. But you still have the end here with the World Series. You have hockey back, and you have the meat and potatoes of college football right now, and the NFL as well. There's a lot, if you're a sporting guy or gal, to have fun with right now.
It's amazing, though. The NFL, Thursday Night Football has been a failure. They're not going to get rid of it because it's worth too much money, but it's been a failure. And the one game, just adding the one game, makes it feel like there's dog days to an NFL season, where I didn't feel like that in a 16-game season before. You understood that December was when everything was going to be decided, and you really need to get it together by Thanksgiving. If you're not playing well by Thanksgiving, you're in trouble. But for some reason, that the NFL goes beyond New Year's weekend and one more weekend into the new year, playing regular season football. Game 17, week 18.
Yeah.
It has changed the way I feel about how the whole season lays out. There's no flow to it like there used to be. Like right now, we're at the end of October, early November, and I feel like we're in the dog days of an NFL season, not the throes of something riveting, but this is just kind of the get-me-through period.
I think there's some things that go along with that right now. This has not been high-level offensive football like you've seen in the last several years. Now, the Dolphins temporarily were excluded in that conversation, although they've come back down to earth too. But you're seeing touchdowns are way down, yards are down, points are down total.
Red zone.
You've seen a lot of red zone mistakes. You're right about that. It's all that's there. I don't know that I would join you in the sense of I feel like there are dog days. I still recognize that a regular season is only 18 weeks, and once it's gone, I desperately miss it. So I'm the mentality that I try to watch not every game that every team plays. Like wasn't necessarily like, I got to watch the Colts this weekend, but
no, agreed. I'm watching.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm watching Red Zone this year. Whereas I think, even though I loved Red Zone, there was always a television with a full game on. I think Red Zone kind of does it for me now, until we get into post Thanksgiving. December.
It also helps that we don't have a stirring product in Tampa. I mean, you would watch the Bucks from start to finish, and you probably are still on one of the televisions. If in fact, they were any good. I mean, I know they're 3-3, but we both know they're not good.
No, but I feel like, and this might just be due to the poor product on the field. I mean, it's sometimes no offense is a good thing. It's just really good defense are out there. I don't know that that's the case right now. Like you were saying a week or two ago, there's a dearth of good quarterback play.
Well, that's definitely happened. I mean, all you got to do is go through the league right now and look at the quarterbacks. So just go through the divisions, and you'll say to yourself, okay, well, how many good quarterbacks are in this division right now? So there's two in the AFC East. In the AFC North, there's two. Burrow's a good quarterback. They're having a bad year, but he's been hurt. But there's two. So you got Lamar and him. That's it. AFC South, I think you've got the best of the young quarterbacks of all the first-year guys. There's no doubt CJ is really looking like a plus player. And, I think we're still waiting for Trevor to enter into that other realm. He's a good player.
He's a little bit of both.
Yeah, he's a good player. Other than that, they got nothing. Colts don't have anything. Tennessee doesn't have anything. West, Kansas City, yes. Chargers, yes. Nobody else. NFC East, you got one good quarterback. NFC North, you want to yell North.
North.
NFC North, no. Goff, really?
Cousins will score points, but does that make him a good quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't know. The West?
West, nobody's any good in that division at quarterback. And then in the South, nobody's any good. That's nobody.
Maybe it's just the NFC fan in me. It's like, man, you got two or three good quarterbacks, and you kind of have to argue. Though you're Sam Waterston in Law and Order.
Yeah, the rest get very debatable. Yeah. You're like, good as in how good? As in like generational? No. As in The best in that bad division? Yeah, I'll give you that guy.
It was before the Bucks and Brady that even, Winston was his own entertainment center.
It was that's what he was, yeah.
But I felt like every window had a must-see game. That's like 3-4 years ago. It's not that long ago. And now I'm thinking, you know what? I'll tune in around 3 o'clock and let's see the finishes. That's a dangerous place to get.
Well, I will say this. What they do get right and what the NFL has going for it every effing weekend, it just happened again last weekend. I mean, here you are watching New England beat Buffalo. What they do have every week is 2 or 3 shockers, 2 or 3 games that come down to the final play. I mean, that 1 o'clock slate, you could be sitting there going, this is garbage. I can't believe what I'm watching. And the next thing you know, on 4 different televisions, you're going, they got the ball with a chance to tie with 1 minute to play. They have the lead, but they're about to punt, and there's 3.5 minutes to play. This game's tied, and they're going to overtime. It happens every week.
You put it perfectly. It's got more of March Madness syndrome to it, where the game quality's not good, but the finishes are memorable.
Always.
It's not about the throws of the game. It's about from 3 o'clock to 4, you're going to be entertained as hell.
I'm fascinated constantly. I mean, there were 2 weekends ago, we were sitting there in the 1 o'clock games going, this is the dregs of the earth. And like 5 of those games turned out to be awesome.
5 of those finishes.
5 of those finishes. Well, that's what they peddle in drama. You get a lot of that. Good work out of you, sir. Good work, Director Matthew. Wake Up Warchant tonight on Warchant TV. Good times. Good times. Make sure you tune in. Be well, everybody. We'll be back with you tomorrow for a Libations Friday. Peace.